First of all, the tool is super simplistic to use. I posted the link for students on their course learning management system, which is Blackboard for us. And then what I told the students was, and this is just from having used it in the past, and I was like, you guys, if you want good responses, make sure you keep a continuous chat so that you don't have to start with the chat brand new. And so I think that that was a really good tip for the students to use. I can give you a specific example. When I was going through the pre-writes, so that's actually probably about 2.5 weeks before the final draft submission. I'm just trying to check for basic things that, rather than them wasting their entire time writing an essay, I check for basic things such as, a main idea or a thesis statement, topic sentences. And one student in particular, her name is Hannah, and or Hannah in Arabic. One thing that I loved about Hannah is when I was looking at her pre-write, based on the first pre-write she had submitted for the first major assignment, which she actually didn't do that well on. The responses were spot on, they were focused, and they're very specific. And this pre-writing assignment, by the way, Sophia, something I just give them like, oh, you did it, you get the points. And so I don't want for them to feel a negative experience with this assignment. So like whether they write, like for lack of better words, an unintelligent, maybe broken down, maybe they didn't spend that much time response versus them dedicating a lot of time and effort. The purpose is for the feedback. So I try to focus on the comments that I provide rather than the grade. So they all get a grade for completing it. But this one particular student, Hannah, in her first pre-write, I noticed that she was struggling with what she needed to do. And when she used the AI professor for essay number 1, it was just, everything was just spot on. And the comments that I wrote were very positive. And to be honest with you, I didn't even realize the shift until we were in class. And she asked me a question and she had her pre-write open. And then she was like, oh, professor, it wasn't so much a question as a comment. She's like, oh, professor, and this is when they started drafting their paper. And then she's like, your comments made me so happy. And I was like, oh, and I was like, well, what did I write? And I'm looking at it, and they're very positive comments. And I was like, Hannah, I was like, honestly, you just completely understood exactly what was required of you. And she's like, I used the AI professor. And that's when I popped open her exemplification paragraph where she didn't use AI professor at all because I hadn't introduced the chatbot to them. And there was a big jump in terms of her comprehending what needed to be done. What really surprised me is that the students' attitude shifted. I think they saw that rather than me being like, you can't use the AI is bad. I think they like knowing that the concept of AI for education is no longer seen as something that's like evil. Or I think their mindset really shifted where they could see that, yes, I can use AI as a learning tool. Whereas I think maybe in high school, because I'm teaching first year comp students this semester, I think maybe in high school or their learning experiences prior, they've been told like if they use it, they'll get in trouble. And so it's been more of a punitive approach of teaching AI, which is one that I personally don't believe in anyway. Yeah, I think it's really important for students to know that this is a tool that's going to help them. It's not, I mean, they have to, in terms of ethical implementation, they have to know that we're not using the AI tool to copy and paste. We're using the AI tool to improve our writing, improve our critical thinking skills, improving ultimately our ability to learn and take what we've learned, not only just to apply it in that particular assignment and that particular course, maybe also to think about how the AI tool can help them learn skills that would actually be applicable or skills transfer in both their other college courses and of course life beyond university when they eventually get to that point. And so I think it's really important. It's kind of like Wikipedia, right? When Wikipedia first came out, it was like, oh, it's evil. It's gonna be the end all of education. Actually, the same attitude was true way back when the typewriter came out. And I think with AI, students need to be taught that. They need to be taught that this is a tool that's meant to facilitate their learning. It's not going to be the end of education or some evil tool that they have to be sneaky about when they're using it. And so I think when they practice with it, that's the only way they can. If you tell them, no, don't use it, It's kind of like the speed signal on the freeway. Sometimes when you drive faster, is it because you're innately like, a speed demon, or do you sometimes just want to go faster just because you've been told that you can't? I would argue it's the latter. It's knowing that you can't, that you kind of want to do it. And I feel it's the same with AI with students. I feel like they'll use it anyway, and so it's important for an educator to implement it in a way that's ethical and responsible. And what I mean by, and how do you make sure there's ethical and responsible use, is you introduce it. Here's what its benefits are, here's what its limitations are, and here's where it can help you very specifically in this academic context, which hopefully will give them some skills and that will lead to, I hope some level of knowledge transfer. If I can give a very focused response in terms of my own students, like I give them handouts, I show them sample student papers, but to expect them to, like, the skills transfer, like, can they actually do what I'm teaching them and showing them in the paper? A lot of them can, but there's always some that genuinely, for whatever XYZ reason, will fall through the cracks. And if they're not coming to me for help, which a lot of times it's the students who, are shy, maybe don't feel comfortable, or let's make it more basic. Maybe it's 4 a.m. in the morning and they know I'm knocked out and sleeping. And so for those type of students, I think it's really important to know that they have the supplemental support that they can rely on whenever they need it.